Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. In the description of this video, you can find my compiled link. Through there, you can find ways to support the channel, my other social media, and more. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. How's it going, everybody? CJ here, back with another video. We're doing a First Thoughts today. This First Thoughts is on Myrkul, Lord of Bones. Really interesting Abzan commander here. As long as your life total is less than half your starting life total, it's got indestructible. That's a good start. It's 7/5, and whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's an enchantment and loses all other types. Really interesting card here. It's got similar vibes to Luminous Broodmoth, Myrkul the Unhallowed, and Nightmare Shepherd. Similar stuff to those where when a creature dies it can come back. But it does this in a very unique way, and I'm very excited about it. So there's a couple of big upsides with this, and that's enchantments are harder to kill, so when they come back they'll probably stick around for longer. And there's a lot of synergies that work well with these creatures when they're not actually creatures. So we're going to be talking about a few things here. I'm going to be starting off the video with some combo-y stuff, and then we're just going to talk about some sweet cards that I think will synergize very well, some enchantment synergy cards, some ways to bring your life total down so Merkel can gain indestructible. It's 7 mana, so you're going to really want the indestructible, some token synergies, and some one-off cards. And yeah, starting off with the combo. So there's 3 cards from the Lorwyn block that all synergize very well with becoming enchantments, and those are Devoted Druid, Cinderhaze Witch, and Barrington Medic. So you can tap them to do an ability and then put a -1/-1 counter to untap them. So typically that would kill these off. But if they're enchantments, they can't die for -1/-1 counters. So if you play any of these, let's say you use Devoted Druid, you can play Devoted Druid, put a -1/-1 counter on it, put a -1/-1 counter on it, it dies, comes back as an enchantment, you can tap it from green mana, untap it by -1/-1 counter on it, and keep doing that over and over and over again and make infinite green mana right away, because of the fact that you can also kill it and enchantments don't have summoning sickness. With Cinderhaze Witch, you can just attack your opponent's hands and get rid of all the cards in your opponent's hands, and with Barrington Medic, you can basically make it so whatever sources you want cannot deal damage, which is really cool. Barrington Medic is really cool. And Devoted Druid is just an infinite combo for mana, which can just win you the game, which is awesome. Another cool combo thing you can do with this deck is Planeswalkers plus Luxior. So you turn your Planeswalkers into creatures with Luxior, and then when they die, they come back as an enchantment. And you can still activate their abilities, but now they can't be attacked, and they can't be destroyed by creature removal. So they're just like Planeswalkers that are really hard to kill. That's awesome. Really cool. And they'll enter with the loyalty, like the enchantment version will enter with the correct loyalty and everything. So really good stuff there. Now I'm just going to talk about creatures that synergize really well with Myrkul. It's mostly just good stuff. With Myrkul, you just want creatures to have good static abilities, and when they die, you'll be able to have that static ability continue in the form of an enchantment. Or like ETBs work really well. There's just a lot of decent synergies, just not combat-based stuff. So, Platinum Empyrean and Platinum Angel seem pretty sweet, just make it so you're really hard to kill. You have the Evoke creatures, so they enter the battlefield, die, come back as an enchantment, enter the battlefield and stay. But as the enchantment form, it's not really going to do much other than get the ETB again. So cards like Foundation Breakers, Shriekmaw, Solitude, and Soul of Migration will just have double ETB basically and end up as an enchantment, which is kind of cool. Then some other sweet cards that would just be very powerful if in this deck include like Avenger Zendikar. Really cool card in this deck because ETB makes a bunch of tokens, and typically your opponent's going to try to kill it before you can get too many +1/+1 counters on your tokens. But if they do, it comes back as an enchantment, another ETB, and now they got to deal with an enchantment that's going to put +1/+1 counters on them. That's pretty good. Avacyn, making your stuff indestructible as an enchantment, It's a little harder to exile, a little harder to remove. Seems pretty good. Ashen Rider is pretty nice because on ETB and leaves the battlefield, you get to exile something, so you can do that twice, 4 times basically, 4 exiles. That's really powerful. Nyx Bloom Ancient just can make you millions of mana, and it's rare that you actually get to keep it for a full rotation, so it coming back as an enchantment is pretty nice. Orin Frostfang's kind of nice, pretty cool to have that on an enchantment. Ogre Slumlord, another cool card to have as an enchantment, it can pump out a bunch of creatures. Old Gnawbone, having that effect on its enchantment is really powerful. Seedborn Muse. Seedborn Muse is one of the best cards in Magic, in Commander specifically, and that being able to have the enchantment version backup is so nice. Love that. Phyrexian Swarmlord and Tendershoot Dryad can pump out tons of tokens. You've got Prowling Serpapard just to make it so your stuff's uncounterable, and it's really the only way to stop you is by countering your creatures. So if they enter the battlefield, unless they get exiled, you're going to get them back, which is really nice. Rampaging Baloths, another good token generator. Ranger Captain of Eos is really cool because you can ETB, go and tutor something out, sacrifice it to stop an opponent from casting non-creature spells, and then it re-enters the battlefield and you get to tutor another thing out, and you can sacrifice it again to make an opponent not cast non-creature spells. That seems really powerful. Shalai, really good board protection. You have Solemn Simulacrum, just ETB, Death Trigger, ETB, Death Trigger, seems great. Somberwald Sage is basically just a Black Lotus for creatures that doesn't sacrifice, and it coming back as an enchantment is really, really nice because I've never untapped with one. It always ends up getting killed. Thrashing Brontodon and other creatures that you have that can sacrifice, like Spore Frog as well, are really nice because you can sacrifice them to do the ability, and then they come back as an enchantment, and you can sacrifice them again and get it off again, which is pretty good. Twilight Prophet, solid card there. Vigor seems disgusting. Void Winnower, your opponent's going to hate you, but I love it. Vorinclex, again, your opponent's going to hate you. Same thing with Elishnorn and Shieldred. All those Praetors seem very powerful in this deck. And then Wandering Archaic just seems pretty good. I like that card. I haven't been able to play with it much, but it seems really powerful and I want to see it in action. So that's a bunch of the good stuff that I wanted to talk about. There's endless good stuff in Abzan. So you could really put together a fun deck based around what you like doing the best. Filling the creature slots with good static ability creatures that you enjoy. And that's honestly one of the best things about this commander is that it's very open-ended and you can do whatever you really want to do. You can make this deck very unique. I like that. But the next stuff I'm going to be talking about is less unique. This is stuff that you're going to want to have in the deck that's less negotiable. It's less negotiable. So, enchantment synergies. Sanctum Weaver, awesome card in this deck. Weaver of Harmony, amazing card in this deck because it's going to be able to copy your normal enchantment triggers and also your creatures that become enchantment triggers. Love that. Then you have a lot of constellation style creatures like Agent of Erebos. Ajani's Chosen can net you some tokens. Same thing with Archon of Sun's Grace. Doomwake Giant's pretty nice. Grim Guardian. Underworld Coinsmith. Nessian Wanderer. Eidolon of Blossoms is a pretty sweet card. Good card draw there. Same thing with Setessan Champion. Sterling Grove can protect all of your enchantments. So when your creature dies, it comes back and now it's got Shroud. That seems pretty sweet. Sphere of Safety to help protect you. Greater Oromancy, again to protect your enchantments. And Serra Sanctum. You're going to have a lot of enchantments. If you can afford a Serra Sanctum, it's going to be a very powerful card in this deck. Next, I'm going to be talking about ways to bring your life total below that halfway mark so that way you can have Indestructible on Myrkul. Because you don't want to be recasting a 7 mana commander plus the commander tax. That's not fun. So, you can do that through your lands with cards like Pain Lands, Shock Lands, Horizon Lands, MDFCs. All of those work to bring your life total down. Same thing with Mana Confluence and Cydia Brass. Good stuff there. Cards like Beladros, awesome in this deck. Plus, if it comes back as an enchantment, still awesome. Bolus Citadel, Doom Whisperer, Erebos, Greed, both of those can draw you a lot of cards as well. Crick, Lyesa, really like that because it also drains your opponent's life totals. Necropotence, more card draw. Sylvan Library, more card draw. And Toxic Deluge, very good board wipe. You can kind of use it to really set your life total where you want it. So let's just say that the biggest creature on the board is a 5/5 and you're 7 life away from getting below half. You can just Toxic Deluge for 7 just to do it, to get below half and be happy. Seems good. Really nice little utility there. And if you're going to be running these life loss cards, you can run Font of Agonies and Villas as well for some extra value. And now we're going to talk about some token synergies, because you're making a lot of tokens. Every time one of your creatures dies, you're making enchantment tokens. So Benny Brax, good card draw. Same thing with Idol of Oblivion. Anointed Procession can double the tokens. Same thing with Doubling Season, Parallel Lives, and Primal Vigor. All of those auto includes in this deck. Chatterfang gives you more tokens, like that card. Kaya is another token doubler for a turn. Thalise seems really sweet in this deck. I like that card a lot. Then you have Second Harvest, which really cool in this deck because it does not specify creature tokens. You can just double everything and go crazy. I love that a lot. That's one of the really, like, one of the most powerful cards you can put into this deck. That card's going to put in work, and it's an instant. Oh, I love that. That card is going to be so good in this deck. And now we're on to the one-off cards. You're going to want to have some sack outlets. That way, in case someone tries to exile one of your things, you can just sacrifice it. So you have Altar Dementia, Phyrexian Altar, Ashnod's Altar. Always going to mention those. They're some of the best sack outlets. You also have Viscera Seer, which is really good. You can throw in Rite of Harmony to get some extra card draw in. Works really well, especially if there's a board wipe or something, because everything comes back as an enchantment. Femerith Enchantress. You're going to be having a lot of enchantments in this game. That could end up drawing you a lot of cards. Elsiad of Life's Bounty seems pretty sweet because it can give protection to a creature or an enchantment. So you can use Elsiad to protect something. It dies, comes back as an enchantment, then use it to protect something again. Then you have Kaya and Kaya's Ghost Form. Let's just say you have a creature with Kaya's Ghost Form on it. If it dies, you can exile it, and then Kaya's Ghost Form will bring it back, but you'll also get the token. That seems pretty good. Good synergy right there. Tainted Aether seems really cool in this deck. I like the idea of running Tainted Aether in this deck. And so that is everything I have for Myrkul, Lord of Bones. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Peace out, everybody.